All right, so today we're going to be presenting Planet Fitness as a franchise. We're going to be determining whether it be a profitable investment. Planet Fitness was founded in 1992 by Mark and Michael Grondal in Dove, New Hampshire. They acquired Gold's Gym first and they closed it in 1993. They decided to reopen and named it Coastal Fitness, but they later hired a CEO named Chris Rondow, who, while still in college, was in charge of the front desk. And he later changed the gym's name 1 year later to Planet Fitness. From the beginning, they were very inclusive, and they decided in 1997, 3 years later, that they wanted the concept of being a more user-friendly gym, and they decided to create a concept called the judgment-free zone, which started to help first-time gym users to feel more comfortable in the fitness journey. As we know, a lot of people can be a little bit intimidated by starting off, so this environment was unique in the industry. After a few years of growth, they started franchising in 2003 with the first franchised gym opening in Florida. And the growth continued over the next decade. And in 2013, TSG Consumer Partners LLC became an equity partner in the Planet Fitness franchise. At the time, the original CEO, Grandal, he stepped down and he became an equity partner in the franchise. And then Chris Rondow, he took his place and held the position ever since then. Today, there's over 2,000 franchises nationwide, and there's also some in Canada and the Dominican Republic. Most of these gyms hold a capacity of around 300 people at a given moment, but each of their gyms averages around 6,500 members. The reason why Planet Fitness can get away with this is because it knows that the members probably aren't going to be there too consistently, and everybody kind of shows up at their own routines, whether that's once a week, twice a week, every other day, or whatever's more comfortable for them. Realistically, not every member will be present. So this is the membership capacity that we have based on our revenue for this analysis. And we will be moving on to the summary of our values, and where we're going to be presenting our base case with our net present value of $1,923,475. Our internal rate of return is going to be 15.18%. Our discounted payback is going to be a 6.76. Our best case was $3,285,752 with 25.10% as our internal rate of return and 4.61 as our discounted payback. Our worst case was $1,054,896, just about half of our base case. Then we have a 10.29% of internal rate of return and an 8.19 discounted payback.
So this is our assumption sheet. How we kind of built this out was, again, we based our revenue on a full capacity of 6,500 members. We adjusted that for inflation in each year. For our base case, we started at 50% capacity opening up and then steadily grew it from there. With our best case scenario, we started at 75% capacity at opening, and then it grows much faster to the 100% capacity. And for our worst case, we started at about 40%, grew a lot slower, and not reach 100% capacity until the 7th year. These are the retail sales. We also have growth in retail sales because they do sell apparel and tanning lotions and various items that people would use in a gym. They sell like socks and stuff for people that forget them. The cost of goods sold as a percentage of revenue is 2%. Royalties and advertising as a franchisee with Planet Fitness is actually 14%. And the franchisor requires that franchisees actually replace their equipment or replace all of their equipment every 5 years. So what we did was take the estimated cost of that and divided it by 5 to break it out as a yearly expense. Same with remodeling. They require that every 5 to 7 years, you're remodeling and updating the interior of the gym. So we took the average cost for that, broke it up so that we had a yearly amount. For hourly employees, the typical salary is about $23,000. We grew that for inflation pretty vigorously over the next couple of years just because of what's happening in the labor market right now. And then it dropped off to a more steady 2.5% in the years after that. We based our number of employees kind of correlated with the percentage of capacity that we expect. And then we accounted for having about 2 full-time managers since the gyms are typically open 24 hours. So we figured about 2 managers to manage the property. Our operating expenses are broken down with utilities, repairs and maintenance, insurance, cleaning costs, and then just facility supplies for a total of $143,177. Our initial investment cost is $2,846,500, and that is based on the assumption that we will be building a new Planet Fitness as opposed to finding an existing building, renovating, renting it, paying a lease, and doing all of that. In the initial investment, you have your franchise fee. You have to get the site selection and construction and development plans done. There's a review fee, the initial equipment expense, the non-fitness equipment, your marketing and grand opening, the exterior signs that you need to advertise, your computer systems, and then the initial insurance, real estate, deposits, all other deposits, professional fees, training for employees. And that's how we got that added up.
So for our base case, for all our cases, we start with the initial investment of $2,846,500. And in this case, we went with the percent capacity that grows from 50 to 100% over the 10 years. And this gives us a revenue which is composed of membership and retail sales that start from 882,000 and grows to 2,181,000 by year 10. Cost of goods sold is 2% of revenue. The royalties and advertising combined are 14% of revenue. And after subtracting the cost of goods sold, the royalty and advertising fees from our revenue forecast, we get a net revenue that starts at 741,000 and eventually grows to 1,832,000 by the 10th year. Compensation is both the hourly employees and managers' compensation added together. The equipment replacement and remodeling costs were just brought from the assumption sheet. Oh, and the same goes for operating expenses. Then after subtracting compensation, equipment replacement, remodeling, and operating expenses from net revenue, we get net cash flows that start at 116,000 and eventually grows to 919,000 by year 10. So this gives us a net present value of 1,923,000. Therefore, we accept. And we also accept our internal rate of return since it's way higher than our discount rate. We also got a discounted payback of 6.76 years. Okay, so for our best case, we increase the percent capacity, which increases our revenues. And the cost of goods sold, royalties, and advertising fees are also adjusted since they are percentages of the revenue, which then gives us a higher net revenues. The rest of the expenses stay the same, and as a result, we just get higher net cash flows. So for our best case, we end with a net present value of 3,285,000. So we accept. For our internal rate of return, we get 25%. So we obviously accept. And in this case, we get our investment back 2 years earlier than our base case.
And then for our worst case, our percent of capacity, as Ashley said, we go a little bit slower in getting to that 100% as opposed to our base case, which started at 50 and got to 100% much faster. So our revenue obviously changed based off of the capacity. And because of that, cost of goods, royalties, and advertising and net revenue also changed. But as Sergio mentioned, compensation, equipment replacement, remodeling, operating expenses all stayed the same. So as opposed to our base case, as they mentioned, the revenue forecast for base was 800,000 and ended in 2 million, as our worst case began at 700,000 and still ended at that 2 million mark. Our WAC was 5%. Our NPV was just over $1 million, so we accepted it. Our internal rate of return was 10.29%, which is still over our WAC, so we accept that as well. And our discounted payback is still under that 10-year mark that we are forecasting for. And then for our break even, we found that we needed to have a 69.28% capacity to be able to break even. So our revenue started at a little over 1 million. And after the 10-year point, we got to 1.5 million. All the same columns changed. And we got to a net cash flow of the first year was 396,000 and the ending year was 361,000. Our WAC still remains at 5%, but our NPV is $0 and our internal rate of return is the same as WAC, so we reject both of those.
All right, so lastly, with intangibles, it is organized by benefits and costs. And these intangibles relate to the specific fitness center. So the benefits include healthier population, decreased burden on healthcare facilities, job creation, goodwill, flexible scheduling for employees, no contract requirement for members, being your own boss, and established reputation and brand recognition. And then the costs include no childcare provided to members, serving PF members that pay other gyms, lack of additional services, which include trainers, juice bars, classes, long work hours to start and run business, competing for hourly workers, and limited equipment, so no barbells, bench press, or squat racks. And then lastly, with our initial startup calculation source, it just shows how the information was provided in our presentation, as well as our sources tab.
So what is your final recommendation?
So our final recommendation is that obviously it appears to be a profitable franchise. However, it does require very, very high startup capital. So, I mean, I guess if you have that money, it would definitely work. I feel like in the long run, with the amount of time and effort put into starting it up and running it, those that franchise multiple locations simultaneously might be better off than just doing one gym. And then the fact that you have to replace your equipment and stuff every year, you have to actually buy that equipment from Planet Fitness. So that's just kind of more money you're having to turn around and give to them as the franchisor every 5 years.
Yeah, my understanding, well, I haven't been to gym in so long because gym is my bike. I don't know if y'all saw on the business breakdown, they did a business breakdown on a firm called, well, they did Peloton, but they also did a firm called Basic Fit. And in that, they kept talking about how Basic Fit was the Planet Fitness of Europe. This kind of, and I don't know, he didn't kind of talk about them versus competitors. Gold's gyms have been really struggling, but according to them, Planet Fitness, their reputation is they're fairly inexpensive. You talked, Stacy, about them being non-judgmental. I don't know exactly how they set up, but the sense is they're fairly inexpensive, and so they're kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of Peloton. But you see how gyms are struggling, like Gold's Gym and some of these others. So Planet Fitness seems to be one that's working. What is your fear on the competition? This is a pretty cutthroat industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of competitors. I mean, I know there's Gold's Gyms, there's LA Fitnesses, there's Planet Fitness. Like you said, kind of like the biggest benefits of Planet Fitness is that it is so inexpensive. Because members can choose to pay around, $10 a month and just go to that one gym, or they can choose to pay a little bit more and be able to go to every single gym. So if they travel a lot and want to go to different ones, they have that option. And kind of a leg up that they also have over the other competitors is that they're not contract based. So I feel like more people are willing to sign up and say, hey, let me go and try this out. And they don't have to be in a 12-month commitment or a 15-month commitment like other competitors, in addition to being cheaper. Though on the one hand, like we had on our intangibles, where, one of the cost intangibles would be that we don't have a lot of those additional services like other competitors have, such as the childcare options for members, or the juice bars and the personal trainers and the classes where they do different types of group workouts. They don't have free weights and barbells and bench press because they don't want your stereotypical gym rats coming in there and dropping weights all over the place and kind of being a ruckus. It's more of a gym for people that are starting out or really looking to just maintain basic fitness. It's not really, you're not going to be a bodybuilder and going to work at Planet Fitness.
Well, then I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're 24 hours then. Did y'all visit any Planet Fitnesses? And you probably didn't visit them at 3 a.m. But boy, as a franchise owner, I'd hate to have a business that's open 24 hours. Is it 7 by 24 or 6 by 24?
My husband goes to one, and I think there's like one day a week where they close from like midnight to sometime early in the morning for kind of like a deep clean or something like that, but I don't remember exactly what day it is.
Yeah, so 24 hours. I had a gym that was open 24 hours, and boy, it was just like, the only people there at 3 a.m. were the free weight excessive people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of surprised. So you have workers, and it sounds like the workers really don't do much other than just registers. How did the members sign up? How do they get people to sign up? They're just walking in, advertising.
Yeah, advertising. They can walk in and sign up at the front desk. So you have members that work the front desk, and that's also where they have like a scanner that people come in with their key card they can have on their keychain, and they scan in, and that's how you verify that they're a member.
So how did your husband find Planet Fitness? Did he see something on TV, or was he driving by and saw it?
Mainly it's just a couple of miles down the road from the house. So, and that one of the reasons that he did sign up is that it is 24 hours. So, if he wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's got time to go down there and get a workout in before he has to be at work at 7. So,
yeah, I guess, boy, I think I'd hate a business where I've got to get a worker there to work the night shifts, because that's such a horrible time to work. All right, so that's the kind of thing. I would have never thought a gym would be a good franchise, but Planet Fitness has definitely changed the game, keeping the costs low. They certainly have a philosophy. So you didn't do an analysis of Planet Fitness versus another gym. Do you have a sense that they're really the safest of the franchises, or would it be worthwhile to look at 3 or 4 others?
I mean, I'm sure it's always worthwhile to look at other ones. But I mean, I know since COVID, I mean, even since COVID, Planet Fitness continued to open about 100 franchises a year. Whereas I believe you had Gold's filing bankruptcy and restructuring. I'm not sure about like Anytime Fitness. I know that's another one, but they're much, much smaller in size. So I guess maybe if you had less capital, that might be one that would be worth looking into over doing something quite as large as a Planet Fitness. But we did not compare those for the purposes of this project.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of my thing. I would have never thought of doing a gym, but Planet Fitness is kind of interesting. Peloton's trying, you know, I listened to the business breakdown of Peloton. They're trying to get the cheaper customer, and they're really struggling with that because the bike is just so expensive. So maybe Planet Fitness, you know, that's the thing with something, you know, I think you're exactly right. It's $2 million. That's a lot of money. And it's going to take you, you know, I question if you're not a little optimistic that it might take, you know, a little more than 6 years. I was looking online and people were saying it's more than 10 years, maybe 15 to 20, but maybe it is. You get a good spot, but still even 10 years is a long time in this business. Who knows what, you know, especially with the digital age and people may be preferring to be at home. And does your husband like it there? He has all the equipment he wants to use. You wouldn't be tempted to go somewhere else to get nicer equipment or get classes?
I mean, for the most part, I mean, he wouldn't do classes. But I mean, it has enough for him. If there's other stuff he wants to do that they don't have, I mean, we have a lot of stuff at home. We actually have the Peloton equivalent of the Nordic track bike as well. And then he likes to do a lot more like calisthenic training where it's more like functional fitness using like kettlebells and jump boxes. And I don't know, he has some weird, crazy mace hammer looking thing that he does stuff with at home. So by going to Planet Fitness, he has access to enough like weight training machines that it's good enough for what he wants.
Yeah, I want it to be interesting how many Peloton owners use Planet Fitness as kind of their other stuff kind of thing. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so yeah, I'm curious why they're not. I assume they don't have a pool. Is that right? No pool at all.
Mm-mm.
So I'm curious if they're tempted to, because it seems like it wouldn't be that expensive to have a class. Can they not do classes just because they don't have the floor space?
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of like their business model is it's just a place for people to come and kind of do their own thing. And then that way, you know, they don't have to hire personal trainers or like Zumba instructors or yoga instructors and things like that. So you can try to keep your labor costs down with having like minimal hourly workers on hand and not have to put on these different things, because then you would probably need a larger facility because you would need like the studios to do the classes in, which their building plans don't support.
All right, so let's see if I get it. Let's see, Sergio or Mackenzie, or so your great aunt walks in and says, I want you to start a franchise. You got this UTSA degree. I'll fund $2 million. Would Planet Fitness be the one you would do?
Well, I wouldn't think of doing any franchise at all, because like, I mean, I think the biggest, you know, I guess headache of these gym franchises will be like the constantly replacing the equipment and, you know, just remodeling like every 5 years. Yeah. So like I feel like that could probably take all your profits that you might gain in that same year that you incur those costs. And plus, like, you know, I guess every business does this, but the employee turnover, that might be kind of the biggest headache, I guess. finding good employees.
Well, but it sounds like, I mean, one advantage of this, and y'all can tell me this, because I agree, Sergio, employee is the number one thing keeps me from even thinking about a franchise. I mean, I could, I've got the money, I could walk out and do a franchise. This one would be a little bit expensive for what I'd want to do, I would think. But I think the advantage you have here is it sounds like these are pretty easy employees to train.
Oh
It
yeah.
sounds like there's not a lot for, it's not like they're having to put food together or learn menus or, it seems like it's a pretty easy job to train on. So, and that seems like that's an advantage. You don't have it in your intangibles because you're not really kind of contrasting this to food. So to me, food franchises are a little scarier because food tastes change so quickly. So, all right. Well, y'all haven't convinced me to go out, especially at $2 million to do a franchise, but it does, if I were doing a franchise in fitness, I think Planet Fitness would probably be one of the ones I would start with, just because they do seem to have a pretty good market and pretty good business model. It seems to be working. One thing I definitely, I think it might have been Stacy who said this. I can't remember someone, but these gyms have reputations for a lot of their customers don't show up very often. But I think if I had a franchise, I'd actually want to be pretty busy. I don't want to be so busy that we lose customers, but I don't want to walk in, there's only 2 or 3 people in there. I wanted to have a little bit of commotion and not just in January, February, but even in the summer. So I'd want a business that's somewhat vibrant, that the community's using. And your intangibles, I don't think you mentioned that in your intangibles, but to be part of a community, having a business that's hiring people that people in the community are using, I think that's part of the appeal. You might have it somewhere. You got job creation. I don't know, for y'all, as y'all are business students, y'all could take your business degree and do a franchise. It's certainly a possibility. I would think one of the draws for you as a student for doing that is not just the autonomy that you talk about, but that you're doing something that the community likes. They see it as a benefit. They see you as a business leader. So I don't know if a Planet Fitness would fit that kind of bill, but you would feel proud to be a Planet Fitness owner. Sergio, doesn't appeal to you. Any other of your team members? Would this be something you would use your college degree to make your life's work?
I don't know.
I mean,
that
I like their ethos, but I would be kind of like giving up a pretty good time, I guess, to work in my career.
Anybody else? Stacy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I do find it to be like pretty tedious, as Sergio mentioned earlier, but I feel like when it comes to gyms overall, I like their business model just because I think the general gym goer, like the average person who's not at the gym every single day, they can appeal to, or a Planet Fitness appeals to them just because it is so affordable and you're not tied down for a year and there's no initial heavy fee like most gyms have. And a lot of times I feel like most people that I know that have gym memberships at other more expensive places, they're offered classes and pools and things like that, but they end up not going to those or never using them. So they see their large monthly payment as just going to waste. So I feel like the fact that we don't have any of these things keeps our price low, and most people that choose us are going here because they're not really interested in all those things, and if that's what they're interested, they'd go elsewhere. So I just find that they have like the most like standard and approachable business structure for a gym.
Yeah, that's what I got out of the impression from the business breakdown, is that it doesn't feel like a scam like some of the fitness do, where they get you signed up and they got this contract. And a lot of people, it's the price is so low that they don't cancel just because they think, well, I might get back there next month. So it doesn't doesn't have that negative vibe that most gyms do. So, all right, well, I'm less negative on this than I would be on other gyms. We've had several franchises this semester. I don't know if if at the end of the semester, all this, I had to pick a franchise to invest in. This probably wouldn't have been it just because it's so expensive, but there's certainly a lot that I like about it. So, all right, any final thoughts? Other people have questions? Rebecca, Jesus, Jania. All right, so y'all are done. Good job. Interesting. Send me your final Excel spreadsheet, and just by email, be fine. All right, thanks everybody.